Jason.
Great.
I'm the director of development at Irish Rep, and I just want to welcome you all. And Ciaran and Charlotte, please take it away. And would you introduce these fabulous creative people who made this happen?
We have the wonderful author, Darren Murphy. We have Catriona McLaughlin, the director. We have Marty Rea, Seán McGinley, and Mullen. So we've got the entire creative force of this enterprise right here in your Zooms. So I'd just like to start with Darren. Where did this idea come from?
I came down to Dublin from Belfast on the days before St. Patrick's Day because there had been some rumours that turned out to be quite spurious that the border may close. I needed to get down here to be with Catriona. So that journey north, or from north to south, was in my mind a lot.
I'm coming down to bring you home, and I'm almost there, Mum. I'm close.
And then my parents live in England, and it was quite shocking to see what was happening over there with the delay in calling lockdown. And I started to catastrophize about what may happen. Thankfully, nothing did. But those two things were sort of melding together in my mind, that journey north and just that separation from my parents. So rather than, just wring my hands about that, I just thought I'd distract myself and try and get it down. So that was the first sort of impulse for it. And I'd read someplace that the last of our senses to go is our hearing. That was a sort of starting point for the idea of the story.
They say they can hear everything, even the end. I mean, how much of it is understood?
Hello, darling, can you hear me? Of course you can, Mum.
And I thought a geographical journey, when you're physically removed from somebody, that does something to recreate that proximity, that intimacy.
We're heading north. Past Dublin Airport, swords, man o' war. We're going home and it feels great.
So it was just really Marty's character, Tom. It's just his attempt to really get inside his mum's head and just say, I'm here. Even though I'm not here, I'm here. And I'm taking you back. I wanted to tell a story, but I wanted the story to do something. I didn't want it to just be a retelling. The memory had to become something that was active, and the hardest performance that the character ever has to give, because it's not really a performance. It's him, laid bare.
I'm taking you back now. Can you see it? You can. Because you're seeing it again. You're seeing it now. You're there. Now.
And Catriona, how did you become to know about this?
He never stops talking about it. If anyone who knows Darren will know if he's writing something we all know about it. It's constant. He tends to be obsessed with everything that he's writing about.
Have you guys worked together before?
We've worked on a few plays together in London, and I think this is our first in America together. Is it?
Yeah. First production.
Would you speak to what were some of the particular challenges? Because I know, Darren, you wrote this particularly for this format. You wrote it for this time. You wrote it for this moment.
Everybody was present for all of it with each other, if you know what I mean. So we filmed it on a Zoom call effectively. So I was watching and they were both speaking to each other. That's how we recorded it. I suppose it was trying to find a way to realize it in a way that works. There's a kind of an immediacy about a phone call that felt like we needed two people in the same place. That was actually a kind of technical requirement that became that actually changed the play, because the original play, it was two brothers and the mother was staying with one of the brothers. I've worked with Marie before. She's amazing, as we all know. And I had been speaking to Seán about a project that I was hoping to do this year. And I was thinking the two of them, if we could change the brother to an uncle, we could maybe, you know, use the two of them if they were kind enough to say yes. So they were. And of course, Marty and I've been trying to find something to work on for ages. And actually, Darren, I think you wrote this with Marty in mind, did you?
I did, yeah.
Because Marty's from Belfast and has that lovely kind of Belfast northern rhythm.
Yeah.
So I suppose once we knew we had Marie and Seán and Marty, then it was easy because they just took over after that.
What a piece of work. I mean, my God, I've watched it a number of times and each time it absolutely drives me to tears. So Marty, you're from Belfast and of course, this is almost a love poem to Belfast in so many ways. You obviously must feel it in your DNA. Is there anything that you'd like to share just from a technical experience even of doing this particular piece? And obviously you were doing it into the eye of a phone.
As Catriona said earlier, we'd been looking for something to work together on for a long time, and then this pops up. And I love Darren's writing anyway. We had workshopped a previous play of his for a while, and kind of fell in love with the themes and the characters that he creates and the sound of the writing as well. So when this came in, and as you say, it is like a love song to Belfast in a way. I left Belfast when I was 18 and have very rarely gone back. So there's a kind of a love-hate relationship with the city, with me now at 40 years of age wanting to kind of find a piece that kind of can relate to that or help me kind of work something through that. It kind of came at a kind of serendipitous time then. So there was an awful lot in it.
And suddenly there it is. Spread out there. The city. And I have no idea why. And you catch your breath, I hear you, a little gasp. And you just, your eyes just... the light in your, that beautiful, beautiful amber light of your eyes and sunlight.
Everyone has this thing with the place that they came from when you've spent all your kind of youth kind of, I'm going to get out, I'm going to get out, I'm going to get out. When you get out, then you have forevermore, I think you have a kind of a conflict about the place and the memories of the place, because it's never just a place. It's like a bottle of memories that you smash open every time you go anywhere near it.
Belfast and the cranes and Daddy and Johnny Cash and the sunlight and the gifts you gave to the dark and endless skies. We're both crooning before it cuts out again. And for that moment, that perfect moment, for that one small heartbeat, we are both saying the same thing. And that's where we're heading now, Mummy.
Marie Mullen, I've watched you over the years, such extraordinary roles that you've done, and you've broken our hearts in so many ways. How did you learn those lines?
I was the only one going around smiling and saying, will I get into the bed now?
Rose.
The two of you, you've worked together for a number of decades now. Have you actually ever played brother and sister before?
Played every combination.
We played, yeah. I've been his mother in several things.
Yeah.
Mind you, he hasn't been my father for some reason. I don't know how that doesn't work somehow.
That's yet to come.
But this piece was so beautiful, Ciaran. I really felt that Darren caught the woman, like the way he creates her with Marty's character is so wonderful. And she was such a bit of fun, and she sounded like she was a wonderful person. And for that, I just thank him for the beauty of that,
And then that laugh, that delicious, filthy chuckle right up from your guts, the 6-year-old's laugh. That gets me every single time, gets right inside me, right into my bones, making me laugh.
Seán, how was it to play into an iPhone?
I mean, you forget about the medium really when you have the writing that good, you know.
Yes.
It was there from the very first time we read this thing, you know, the dynamic particularly between Tom and Rose, the son talking to his mother, and the breathing, that dialogue, it's completely there in the writing. So, you know, when writing that good comes along, you just hop on and try not to mess it up.
Did you get the opportunity to bounce off each other? Was Marty on the other end?
Yeah.
We had a couple of meetings before, and we had a couple of run-throughs and all that sort of stuff. And you know what you would do. Obviously, there were some technical obstacles to be overcome, but you kind of forget about that in the end.
And it was lovely the three of us were together, wasn't it? We were all together in the atmosphere, and Catriona was there with us.
And to make a virtue of the medium as well, the dynamic of a phone call like this certainly gives potency to the writing, I think.
I have a confession to make. We did film it in one take, only I wasn't recording. And it was very good. But I have to admit, Marty was so lovely, and I was nearly ill having to tell him, because you know it's quite rough to go through that. But we did a couple of takes, and we kind of cut them together a little bit. Most of it is 2 takes, 2 halves. It is recorded like dialogue. You know what I mean? It wasn't one side and then the other.
It was continuous.
It was continuous, yeah. So the other thing that we did is when we filmed it, I really liked the kind of, you know, there's a kind of slightly jitterish element to the image. It kind of gives the sense of it being real, authentic, phone, that the internet maybe connection's not so stable. But that wouldn't have worked for the sound. So we recorded both sound pieces separately, and then we mixed that with the film, if you know what I mean. Yes. Just so we had clean sound, clean dialogue.
We've neglected to mention Carl Kennedy's music.
Yes.
So beautifully underscores the credits.
I love the sun shining afterwards. It's quite magical and beautiful and releasing somehow.
She's gone.
And that piece of writing there at the very end on the gorse bush and the whin bush, so real.
That line, the poem.
Which line?
Blackbird whistles in a whin bush.
Is it?
Yeah.
What did I say?
Gorse.
Did it?
Blackbird whistles in a gorse bush.
Is it not gorse, no?
No, it's whin. She just scolded you for that one.
Sure would I. Nice would.
I have a friend, a poet. I asked him about a poem that somebody would know who wasn't, you know, a big poetry fan, but somebody who would just, you know, maybe it was a particular poem that had caught her ear, and he suggested Ciaran Carson's beautiful poem Belfast. He kind of gave it with the caveat that, you know, she'd probably misremember it, or somebody would misremember it in the recitation. That would sort of inform that last section.
East, beyond the yellow shipyard cranes, a blackbird whistles in a gorse bush.
Darren, do you have any plans for any other plays that are in this format?
Yeah, I've been thinking about how the format could be exploited. It's not film, it's not theatre, but it is drama. And I think, you know, that has to sort of be built into the dramaturgy of the work. So yeah, I've been kicking around a few scenarios where that might work. Some a bit more comedic than this one, because I think it lends itself to a lot of potential misunderstandings and quite farcical setups. But I think the form itself is evolving. I think how we engage with drama is changing.
Catriona, you're the associate director at the Abbey Theatre.
Yeah.
What's going on with the Abbey these days?
Well, it's similar, I suppose. We are trying to figure out how to bring work that has meaning in whatever way we can. I don't know if you were aware of the Dear Ireland. The Abbey produced 50 short pieces, monologues, very quickly after lockdown began. That was an attempt to sort of take the temperature of the country at the time and how people were thinking about the situation and responding sort of very immediately to that. So there was a whole range of kind of work that came from that. And now I think it's about how to make something that has, you know, whether it's something that's site specific, that a couple of people, as lockdown kind of eases up, a couple of people can see at a time what's effective. Because obviously, you know, everything here is in a very dangerous position, because if we can't have people within 2 meters of each other in the theatre, the main house in the Abbey, for example, gets reduced down to 50 individuals, which is just not possible. So I think the focus at the moment is trying to find alternative ways to make work, looking at other digital work, looking at site-specific work or episodic pieces.
Here in New York right now it's 7 o'clock, and at 7 o'clock on each evening, the windows are lifted up and everybody applauds the essential workers. And you guys are such essential workers for us all and for our hearts and for our souls. And so I feel that this applause is for you guys.
I was moved and filled with admiration and applause for you.